All right. Well, I said I would make a review video of this Bible, my LSB Handy Sized Bible. This is not the inside column reference. This is just the handy size. So you're basically just getting the text, no footnotes, no references. Now, in a previous video when I did the unboxing for this, somebody had asked, why would you do that? Why would you want a Bible that didn't have any footnotes or anything like that? Well, the reason is this is for me to preach from. I want a Bible that lays flat. I'll get to that in a second. A Bible that lays flat, and I can write my own stuff in and have plenty of room to write. Now, I would like a little bit more room. They could have gave you, quarter of an inch maybe right here. The gutter is kind of hard to write in sometimes, but I've been preaching through 2 Timothy, and these are the notes that I've written in my Bible. The reason I do this is because I usually preach from an iPad. When I'm done with my master's degree, I will probably go to handwritten notes and not so much use this. But if my iPad ever shut down on me or didn't work one Sunday, I have a good idea of what I'm preaching each time, each message. So that's why I wanted this kind of Bible. It fits me for what I'm doing. Here I preach a message out of Psalm 61, and I just write my outline in the sides. Shout out to Colton Yarborough and Matthew Everhard. I kind of learned how they do some of their stuff in their Bibles, and that's kind of where I got the idea. But comparing this to the regular sized inside column reference, I want to point out a few things. I bought some inside column reference Bibles. I have 3 of them. I also have 3 kids. I read through one a year, and I typically read through the Bible once in a year, sometimes twice, once every 6 months. But I wanted to get just regular edgeline goatskin premium LSB Bibles for my kids. My oldest daughter is about to turn 16, and she will get one of these, which I read through a couple of years ago. I put it in a box and saved it for her. You see the maps in here, and you can see some of the notes that I've made in here. And there's my reading plan. I do read from this every day. This is my everyday read. At least until that year is up, and then it's going to go in a box and go to my youngest daughter, my middle child. And the reason is I preached the Sunday she was being baptized. I preached from this Bible specifically because she's the only one when she turns 16. I will have preached from her Bible, basically at her baptism, and so she'll get this then. The blue Bible, I got the blue inside column, and I actually got it with the page with the indexes and the pages. My son loves that Bible. He hasn't been baptized yet, so I guess I might have to break it out and preach from that Bible when he gets baptized. But he liked that, so I put that in. When I was reading through that, I put it in a box, and I bought this. Now, on that note, the black of the 3, I have a brown, I have the black, and I have the blue for my 3 kids. Okay. The black is probably the softest, most like leather feel of the goatskin leathers. Now, I have a cowhide, regular, no inside column, all that Bible. I did a video on that some time ago when the LSB first was coming out. It was one of the first. I was one of the first to get one online. Well, probably like first of thousands, but anyway, and I like it, and I used it for preaching, much like I use this Bible. But I've noticed that there's like a plasticky feel to this leather. This has gone through, I'm almost through my year, and instead of doing 6 months, I've actually been reading this for a full year, since July of 2025. And it's just now starting to kind of lose that plasticky feel and have like a soft, supple leather feel. You hear a lot of Bible reviewers talk about this, and I'm not accusing them of anything when I say this. I don't know why they don't talk about it, though. The blue leather feels plasticky. It does. It feels like a toy, and I don't like that. And the brown that I had, it felt the same way. I didn't like that. I don't know why, but because I'd already got two for the other two kids, and my son had called dibs on the blue, I got the black, and it actually feels most like leather after almost over 9 months of reading. And so all that to say, if you're going to get the regular edgeline goat skin, get it in black. That's my opinion. I think it feels better, and you're still going to have that plasticky feel. I did reach out to Rockwall Bibles and straight up asked them their opinion on that. And they replied to me on Twitter saying, or X, excuse me, and they said that a lot of Bible manufacturers for their own, they dye their leathers for mass production and such. And that's why it has that feel to it. I don't know if that's right. That's just what they told me. And I'm not accusing Steadfast Bibles of doing that, but it makes sense. And so I will say this now, I'll probably say it again later, but if you want a premium Bible that feels like good leather, I would recommend don't get it from a manufacturer. Get a cheaper Bible, hardcover, whatever text block that you like, and make sure you send that in to just a rebinder and have them do it. They're a small business too. And that way the publishers, they get their money and the rebinders can make some money too. And they're usually good Christian guys. If I had it to do over again, would I do that? Maybe, I don't know. But then I wouldn't have Bibles to give to my kids for their 16th birthday. So there's that. Back to the Bible that we're actually talking about. Now, the leather on this, when I first got it, it felt very rough, almost scratchy, very durable. And you'll notice some rebinders, you can do this and you see like the leathers, the oil and the leather kind of disperse and stuff. You don't see that with this. I don't know why. I don't think this has been dyed. Maybe it has been, but it felt very rough when I got it. And so I didn't love that, but the more I've used it, the more smooth it's become. And I do like that. I do like the feel of it. You can still feel the roughness on the spine here. And, of course, you got the raised hubs and all the stuff everybody else points out. That's fine. But those things don't really get me all that excited, I guess, like they used to. This is almost a full yap. I think they say it's a full yap, but it's not completely full yap, in my opinion. On the inside, this is very soft. I'll get to this stuff in a second. This is very soft. Someone had, again, they'd asked, I think I talked about my notes and everything. Someone had commented about my highlighting system and stuff, and maybe someday I'll do a video on that. But you'll notice over here, I have these things right here, these little tabs. I got these on Amazon. I think they're made by Sharpie or Post-it. Anyway, if I am going to simply use my Bible, only use my Bible, I will kind of color code in here something where I know which thing to turn to. I can preach just from my Bible without notes and things. I don't love to do that. I think I've made a video about that in the past too. This is a prayer at times when I don't know what else to pray. Sometimes I'll just pray this. This is from the Valley of Vision, and it's the prayer of love from the Valley of Vision. And I printed it off, cut it out, taped it into my Bible. You can do whatever you want with yours. That's something I like to do. There isn't much. This is really, it's just a Bible. Like I hate to say that because I've read about William Tyndale and Luther and getting the Bible in the hands of the public, and I love the story of that and how we have our English Bibles. I think that's beautiful, and obviously it's sacred and all that. But when I say it's just a Bible, this is what I mean. You come to the back of the book, the back of the Bible. You're not going to have maps. You've got, let's see, you've got 46 dot matrix pages that you can write your notes in. I have a Joel Beakey quote in there. You've got this page of your monetary units and your weights and your measurements, and that's it. You don't have maps. You don't have a concordance or anything like that. At the front of your Bible, you've got your foreword, you've got your publication information, real quick thing from the Lockman Foundation, etc., table of contents, and boom, you're right there in the Old Testament, then Genesis. Now, you see that. It doesn't lay flat, right? You kind of gotta if I was going to be preaching from Genesis, I'd kind of have to roll that. And then that's just the stiffness of the spine. That's the stiffness of the leather, I think, that causes that. And so if that's something that's going to annoy you, just be aware of it, okay? I've broke this Bible in a few times. I've done the whole thing, and it gets better, and it will get better with age. It'll get better with use. So that doesn't bother me that much. I mentioned the 46 dot matrix papers. It's 32 GSM paper and 9.5 point font, which is perfectly fine for me. I'm not so old that I can't read it. Real quick, the ribbons, you'll notice the ribbons have a crease in them. That has been there since I got it. Now I could probably pull them out and iron them and iron that crease out. Honestly, I just don't care enough to do that, and I don't want to melt them, so I'm not gonna do that. It doesn't bother me really, but that is something a viewer might notice, so I want to mention it. To write in my Bible, and I will say this, I'll make another video for my highlighting system and things like that another day when I have time. But this is what I use in my bigger Bible when I'm doing my personal devotionals, and this is what I'll use when I'm writing up my sermon notes. These are Z-Bright highlighters. I got them on Amazon, I think for about $12 a pack. And I think this is just a cheap ruler. I don't know where I got that from. I want to say it was Mr. Pin with some pins that I bought. And I am not a big fan of Mr. Pin. I've never really done a review of them. I think Mr. Pin is somebody who markets themselves as, hey, look, we're a Bible writing company. You should buy our stuff. And it's overpriced and stuff. But I have kept this ruler. So there's that. I use micron pins. I use these 4 colors. And I will say this, if I'm just underlining something or circling something in my Bible that I just want to draw my attention to it, I use black. If it's something concerning love or miracles or the nature of God, I use blue. If it is something negative, something judgmental or something, and I want to make sure I catch that, I'll use green. And if it's a judgment of God or wrath of God type of thing, or somebody's dying, I'll use red. That's typically what I do. Okay, so you have that. Now the colors, the highlighting colors, I guess I can go ahead and do this. Green, I usually use for a judgment or prophecy. Blue for a miracle. Yellow for something in God's glory. I'll use pink for something in God's love. And orange for things that's a command. Like a lot of orange in the epistles, which you saw Timothy when I was going through that. Now, okay, that's all out of the way. The question comes to, though, is this Bible worth the $195 that I paid for it? Now, I bought this for myself as a little birthday/Christmas present, and I wanted a strictly preaching Bible, okay? That's why I got it. I can do my personal study. I use Logos. Maybe you've seen my live videos where I went through Logos. I've talked about Logos a few times. I have that with me almost all the time. So I don't need a Bible. Eventually, I won't need a Bible that has all the inside columns, references and footnotes and things. I'm not digging on you if you do, or if you prefer that. By all means, use that. Use what works best for you. That's something that a lot of Bible reviewers won't necessarily tell you. You need the Bible that works for you. We can talk about translations. We can talk about that stuff. I'm not saying use a Bible that tells you what you want to hear. That's not what I mean when I say that. But for what you are doing, you want to find a Bible that fits what you're doing. I'm not really using this Bible solely for my personal study. I have Logos with me. I have other books. I'm getting my master's degree so I can read Greek. So I've been carrying a Greek New Testament with me a lot of times. So I'm not really looking for something with a lot of extra notes. This is, when I say just a Bible, I mean it is just the Bible, okay? You're not getting a lot of frills. So it comes back to that question. Is this worth $195? That depends on your need. For me, I like the ruggedness the rough feel of it that it has now. The scratchiness of it's kind of went away as I've used it, and it's been worn. I love the color. It's kind of got that throw it in a backpack or take it to the pulpit type of look, and I love that. It's got that everyday carry kind of feel to it, that kind of look. It looks like it kind of reminds me of being like it's made out of an old pair of cowboy boots or T-Rex skin if you look at it really close. Not that I know what T-Rex skin looks like, but it just kind of has that feel to me. If you're somebody you want really premium feel for what you're going to pay, if you want the really bougie leather, the Badalassi Carlo that's going to change its feel every time you bend it, or it's going to patina real well and all that, buy a cheaper Bible. Just know that if you're going to get a cheaper LSB, the GSM paper might change depending on what you're getting. So pay attention to that. But buy a cheap hardcover Pew Bible for $30 and send it into a rebinder. Spend your $200 there, and you're fine. If that's what you want. If you're just wanting something from the manufacturer that you can have, you can use, I think this is worth it. Like I said, I like it. It's a great everyday carry for me and for my purposes. It is a little expensive. I would have probably felt a lot better getting this for like $125, $150. But I mean, I don't feel like I overpaid at the same time, if that makes sense. So it is what it is. But that's that. If you are someone wanting to try out the LSB, this is not your first purchase. Don't do that. If you're trying to decide if you like the translation or not, get one of their cheaper Bibles, get a cheaper handy size for $40, $50, wear it out, and then invest in a premium. If you're somebody you don't like the LSB, but you want something that looks nice on your shelf, go ahead and get yourself an ESV, an NKJV, or whatever translation you do like, and invest in that. Don't spend $200 on a translation you don't love. I preach from the LSB. I read my devotionals from the LSB. I love the ESV. I really do. I enjoy reading from the ESV, but I'm not married to any translation. I'm a Christian. I'm in Christ. That's what I really care about. So, for my church, for my congregation, for the nursing homes that I preach at, and so forth, this is perfect for me. For me. That's the thing. That's what I want to tell you. If you are somebody you're like, I don't care, I don't like it, that's okay too. All right. But that's all I have to say about it. So this is probably my last video for a while. I've been kind of working on my Substack, and I did mention I'm learning Greek, working on my master's degree. Maybe eventually I'll be able to come back and have more videos for you guys. But for now, I'm going to be signing off, and God bless you. And hopefully I'll see you again in another one.